Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Beta, in today's class, we are going to talk about the neoclassical counter revolution. The neoclassical counter revolution. एक बारी थोड़ा समझ लेते हैं what this means and what it says. So basically, we know that the role of state and the role of the market, it has been continuously changing over time. बहुत टाइम तक ऐसा लगता था that government should be given more power. Then we started thinking that no, it is rather the state, the free market that should be given more power. So there was always a contradiction, there was always a debate between whether the government should be given more power or whether the free market should be given more power. Government or state are interchangeably used. Okay, so whether state is more powerful or free market is more powerful. Okay, now this neoclassical counter revolution is actually a revolution which is challenging the static models. इसने क्या किया? इसने बहुत सारे जो static approaches था और state related approaches था. Here I don't mean static. My word should be statist. मतलब जो state related approach आज तक follow हो रहा था उसको उन्होंने challenge किया. Statist is the right word. हाँ. So basically, what we are going to study in this case, beta, that it is related to challenging the statist model. माने इसमें हम क्या चैलेंज कर रहे थे? वी वर चैलेंजिंग द रोल ऑफ द स्टेट. वी वर चैलेंजिंग द रोल ऑफ द स्टेट. एंड व्हाट वी वर फोकसिंग ऑन बेटा? किस चीज पे हमारा फोकस था? वी वर फोकसिंग ऑन द रोल ऑफ फ्री मार्केट, on the role of market friendly approach, on market friendly approach. ठीक है, so let's write down the formal definition of it. So please write it with me. The 1980s resurgence of neoclassical free market orientation toward development problems and policies. तो they were focusing on the free market orientation. उनका पूरा focus था that market should be free, right? And it was reverse of what started in 1970s. So in 1970s, अगर हम 1970s का बात करें, so during that we had interventionalist dependence. We had interventionalist dependence. माने 1970s में बेटा we had to follow an approach where we were saying that government should intervene. There is role of the government, right? But and we started calling this as internationalist dependence revolution. Okay, and towards 1980s we had neoclassical revolution which said no, we want the role of the free market, we want free market to exist. Okay, so basically what started happening is that it focused on the role of the following. ये कुछ चीजें हैं जो डेवलप्ड नेशन में बेसिकली इस काउंटर रेवोल्यूशन में फोकस की गई. वी फोकस्ड ऑन द फॉलोइंग थिंग्स. द फर्स्ट वन इज फेवर्ड supply side macroeconomic policies. The second is the role of rational expectation theories. Right? The third is privatization of public corporations. Right? So we said that developed countries should focus on these three things. Developed countries should focus on these three things. क्या क्या चीजों पर फोकस करना होगा? फेवर्ड सप्लाई साइड मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक पॉलिसीज, माने जो भी हमारा मैक्रो इकोनॉमिक्स पॉलिसीज होंगे दे विल बी फेवरिंग द सप्लाई साइड इकोनॉमिक्स, राइट? देन देयर विल बी रोल ऑफ रैशनल एक्सपेक्टेशन. रैशनल एक्सपेक्टेशन से ऑटोमेटिकली क्या मीनिंग है? दैट मोर अवेयरनेस. Adaptive means that people lag information, but here we are saying that there is more awareness in the economy. And privatization of the public corporations. So it said that developed countries should go ahead and focus on this. But at the same time, in developing countries, these things were not focused. So developing countries में इसी revolution ने बोला that in the developing countries it called for less freer markets. डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज में इट कॉल्ड फॉर लेस फ्री मार्केट्स, माने वहां पे बहुत फ्री मार्केट्स, ओपन मार्केट्स होना नहीं दिया, राइट? एंड इट आल्सो कॉल्ड अहेड एंड इट कॉल्ड फॉर गवर्नमेंट रेगुलेशन ऑफ इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटीज. So you are seeing that they said that developed countries should go ahead and they should have the role of private sector, role of free markets, but developing countries should still have less free markets, should have government intervention of the economic activities. Government should keep intervening in those developing countries, right? And basically कौन थे ये लोग? कौन है ये neoclassical revolutionists who were starting this thing, right? So this theory, it was actually getting its vote from the reputed big organizations. कौन सा organizations है बेटा वो? Like International Labor Organization, like UNDP, United Nations Development Program, like UNCTAD, United Nations Conference on Trade and Development. ठीक है? So ये जो बड़ा ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है, they were fully in view of this perspective. They were fully, because they were going ahead and they were representing these big countries in a way. So they were fully in view of this, that more privatization and freedom should be given in the developed country and less in the developing countries, right? So another argument that they had, their argument was, neoclassical counter revolution का argument was that underdevelopment results from poor allocation due to incorrect pricing policies and too much state intervention by overly active developing nation government तो उन्होंने बोला अंडर डेवलपमेंट क्यों है पता है किसी भी इकोनॉमी में? अंडर डेवलपमेंट इज बिकॉज रिसोर्सेज आर नॉट प्रॉपरली एलोकेटेड. इट्स नॉट दैट रिसोर्सेज आर नॉट देयर, it is that resources are unequal in nature, right? And the pricing policies that are kept are also not correct, right? And the state intervention is very high. State बहुत ज्यादा intervene करता है हर चीज में, क्योंकि जो developing nation की government होती है वो overly active होती है, right? So what they went ahead and they said, and I'm going to rather give you some names. So ये counter revolution school में it included people like Deepak Lal. It included people like Ian Little. It included people like Harry Johnson. It included Bela Bilasa. Sabse important, you might have heard his name, Jagdish Bhagwati. So these were all important people under the counter revolution. Okay? And these people, they said that it is the very state intervention which is slowing the pace of economic development. तो इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट स्लो क्यों होता है किसी भी कंट्री में? इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट इज स्लो बिकॉज ऑफ स्टेट इंटरवेंशन. So they argued that for going ahead and for developing, for the purpose of development, what you want is the role of free markets. आपको फ्री मार्केट की तरफ जाना पड़ेगा. You will have to go towards free market. ठीक है? अब you may ask, ma'am, then why are we saying developing country have lesser freer market and government regulation? So basically this is there, right? This happened, right? कि the developing countries had this situation existing. हाँ, वहां पे लेस फ्री मार्केट्स था, वहां पे गवर्नमेंट रेगुलेशन कम था, right? So basically the in a way this theory is also suggesting that if we want to go from the developing country towards the developed country, अगर मुझे एक डेवलप्ड कंट्री बनना है, मुझे अपना डेवलपिंग कंट्री का टैग हटाना है, इफ आई वांट टू रिमूव द टैग ऑफ डेवलपिंग कंट्री एंड आई वांट टू बिकम अ डेवलप्ड कंट्री, देन इन दैट केस I will have to go for a more freer market, right? I will have to lower the government regulations, right? I will have to lower the role of the state. ठीक है? So if I want to remove the tag of developing country and if I have to go towards developed country, अगर मुझे developed country बनना है, ठीक है, then I need to go ahead and I need to have more free markets and less role of the government. ठीक है? How are free markets defined, beta? Free markets. Please write down the system whereby prices of commodities or services freely rise or fall when the buyers demand for them rises or falls, or supply of them falls or increases. Right? So basically free markets have the role of demand and supply. बहुत simple terms में, जब demand change होगा या supply change होगा, whenever demand or supply will change, when if the prices actually go ahead and change, then that is free markets, right? And these neo-liberal counter-revolutionists, they actually said that we need to go ahead and we need to increase the role of these free markets, right? We need to actually go ahead and increase the role of these free markets. We need to go ahead and we need to sure that we start with privatization of state owned organizations. Privatization of state owned organizations. And we need to ensure that we go ahead and eliminate the government regulations. ठीक है? जैसे इंडिया में we had the concept of license raj. So we want to go ahead and we want to eliminate this part. We want to eliminate the role of the government. ठीक है? Now there is something called as free market analysis, beta. . right? So please write down the theoretical analysis of the properties of an economic system operating with free markets, often under the assumption that an unregulated market performs better than one with government regulation. तो फ्री मार्केट एनालिसिस क्या बोलता है कि देखो हमें फ्री मार्केट के साथ काम करना है, ठीक है। अगर आप एक मार्केट को गवर्नमेंट के हाथ से हटा दो, रेगुलेशन से हटा दो, तो वो ज्यादा अच्छा परफॉर्म करेगी एज कंपेयर टू वो मार्केट जो गवर्नमेंट के अंडर है, राइट। एन अनरेगुलेटेड मार्केट, अ मार्केट विच इज नॉट रेगुलेटेड बाय द गवर्नमेंट विल परफॉर्म मच बेटर देन अ मार्केट विच इज रेगुलेटेड बाय द गवर्नमेंट, right? So basically this goes ahead and it says that free markets are much better. Now if I talk about this neoclassical counter revolution, beta, so there are three components of this, three components, ठीक है, जिसमें से पहला component यही है that we want free market. That's the first component, that we want to go ahead and we want to have free market approach. That means unregulated market, no role of the government. This is its first component. ठीक है, ऐसे ही its second component is that we want to go how did I go for this one? Now do I remember? Give me a minute. Okay. Now the second one is bit of public choice. That's the second component, right? And the third component that we have, that is called as market friendly approach. Market friendly approach. So the first component, I hope that is clear to you, that is basically called as the market free market approach. फ्री मार्केट अप्रोच क्या बोलता है, गवर्नमेंट का रोल नहीं चाहिए, रेगुलेशंस को कम करो, अनरेगुलेटेड मार्केट बेटर परफॉर्म करती है. The second one is called, second component is called as public choice. Public choice component is also called as new political economy approach. It's also called as new political economy approach. So please write down the theory that self-interest group guides all individual behavior and that governments are inefficient and corrupt because people use government to pursue their own एजेंडास. तो ये क्या बोलता है ना, दिस सेज कि देखो सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट ग्रुप बेटर है जो अपने अपने चीज का सोचे, अगर आप गवर्नमेंट को अगर आप गवर्नमेंट को दे दोगे पावर, सो गवर्नमेंट्स बहुत इनएफिशिएंट है। क्यों? क्योंकि दे आर करप्ट, एंड सम पीपल, सम एलीट क्लास कैन यूज गवर्नमेंट फॉर देयर सेल्फ इंटरेस्ट। ठीक है, सो सम पीपल कैन इन्फ्लुएंस द गवर्नमेंट, राइट, बाय गोइंग अहेड एंड गिविंग सर्टेन ब्राइब टू द पीपल ऑफ गवर्नमेंट। ठीक है, और पॉलिटिशियन क्या करेंगे ना कि गवर्नमेंट के रिसोर्सेज को दे विल बी यूजिंग टू देयर ओन पावर, right? They will be extracting bribes from rich people and they will be favoring the rich people, right? So state will go ahead and also capture the private property of people. वो लोगों का private property ले सकता है. It can go ahead and it can bring it in under its control, like it has happened. We know when many state oriented economies where people don't have any property, right? It is all under the government, right? So basically this goes ahead and says that there are some elite people who will use government to their own power, right? They will go ahead and they will mold the policies of the government according to them. ठीक है, this will not be beneficial for people in general. नॉर्मली लोगों के लिए बेनिफिशियल नहीं रहेगा। कुछ लोग उसको अपना पावर के लिए गवर्नमेंट को यूज करेंगे, गवर्नमेंट को ब्राइब करेंगे, और अल्टीमेटली स्टेट जो है वो प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टीज को भी confiscate कर सकता है. It can just capture the private property of the government, of the people, and it can also lead to misallocation of the resources. जो resources होंगे वो misallocate होंगे. So this all is basically the public choice theory, that it is much better to go ahead and to act in your own interest, to have free markets which act in your interest rather than government who is acting in the interest of few people, जो कुछ लोगों के लिए act करेगा. The third one is market friendly approach. The notion historically promulgated by the World Bank that successful development policy requires governments to create an environment in which markets can operate efficiently and to intervene only selectively in the economy in areas where market is inefficient. तो बेसिकली ये नोशन तब आया जब वर्ल्ड बैंक आया, और उन्होंने क्या बोला कि गवर्नमेंट को प्रमोट करना चाहिए मार्केट को. गवर्नमेंट शुड नॉट टेक द प्राइमरी स्टेप. Government should take a secondary step. Government should promote the market to function on their own. And wherever we see market failure, right? Like in case of public goods, like in case of externalities. So wherever we see market failure, like asymmetric information, that is where government should act. So government should not act always. हमेशा government को नहीं चाहिए act करना. We don't need the role of government always. Where we need the role of government, the role of government is essential in case of market failure. So wherever markets are failing, public goods, externalities, asymmetric information, वहां पे गवर्नमेंट का रोल चाहिए, बट ओवरऑल गवर्नमेंट शुड अलाउ मार्केट टू फंक्शन ऑन इट्स ओन. ठीक है बेटा. सो दिस is the concept of your neoclassical revolutionist, and I hope that this is clear to you. Okay beta, thank you.